I know, I've been gone. I was sick, but we're back now. Let's get right into it. Welcome everyone back to the Average joGamer podcast. This is episode 6. Sorry I wasn't here last week. I was under the weather. And then there was obvious delays with getting this one recorded. It was due out on Friday. Today's Tuesday. So forgive me. I'll try and get 2 episodes out this week. Again, I try and get these things out once every Friday. Thursday, Friday. There have just been issues. I mean, I record this at work because there's a bunch of kids in the house. And then if I can't come to work because of babysitting the kids or whatever it is, it doesn't always work out. Yeah, so I'll try and, again, the schedule is still for Friday. I'm going to try for Friday. Yes, so thanks for bearing with me here. Some of this news might be a few days old, but that's okay. We're just going to hop into it here. 3 main things I kind of want to talk about this week. 1, Chrono Trigger is their 30th anniversary. Thing came out all the way back in 1995. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into Split Fiction, which is a new co-op game that I actually got to dabble in. It's funny, when I wrote up this script, I had not even purchased the game yet. But now I actually get a little bit of... I can actually talk about the gameplay for a little bit. And then finally, we're going to talk about Destiny 2. We might dive into Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Not a whole lot to really say there, but we will get into Destiny. Now, first up, this kind of falls under the category of this day in gaming. It would be this month in gaming, I suppose. Chrono Trigger, again, like I said, is celebrating their 30th anniversary. Now, Chrono Trigger, for those that don't know, quick little snippet, this is a role-playing game released by Square. This is before they were Square Enix. They were just Square Soft then. 1995, RPG. You know, it's the art of Akira Toriyama, but directed by Kitase of Squaresoft. So you have, for those that don't know, Akira Toriyama is the Dragon Ball Z artist. So beautiful art. And yeah, it's a role-playing game. Music was by Uematsu, who's famous for doing the Final Fantasies, and then Yasunori Mitsuda helped him out, and then so did Noriko Matsuueda also helped out with the music for this. Those 3 were the composers for this game. Chrono Trigger, single player RPG for the Super Nintendo. I'm not gonna lie, this is a game that I never fully played. I've started this game probably about 1 million times, and I've never gotten past 2 hours. That is not because the game is not good. That is just because as this podcast will unfold, maybe you'll learn from me if I keep it up that there's so many video games out there, and I love so many of them. And growing up, if I missed it, it's hard for me to go back and play it. And that is not because I find the game boring. It's more because it's just harder to go back. It's like a backlog, right? There's just so much more. Every time that you miss a game, it's just added to that backlog, and there's so much stuff to go into playing it that even though I try to force myself to, sometimes I just can't do it. Perfect example of that is how many weeks now have I been talking about playing the Lord of the Rings, Shadow of War, and Shadow of Mordor games that I still haven't gotten into, even though I want to, but I was trying to save those for a stream. It's just backlog games are hard to get into, and Chrono Trigger is one of those. Chrono Trigger is highly regarded as one of the greats, one of the greatest games of all time. So it's on a list to play. Final Fantasy VI is another one that I've never played. I've started it 1 million times. I've never beaten it. I've never played it longer than an hour or 2. Yeah, so I I kind of hope this 30th anniversary will get me into it. I did pick it up on Steam. It's on sale everywhere right now on iOS, Android, Steam. You can get it for like $3. So kind of a no-brainer. But first, I'll read out what Square tweeted out, translated from Japanese by Google. This says, the tweet from Square Enix says, today marks the 30th anniversary of the release of Chrono Trigger in 1995. This timeless masterpiece that transcends generations and is still talked about today was born in a dream project by Yuji Horii of Dragon Quest, Akira Toriyama of Dragon Ball, and Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy. You'll probably hear those names come up a ton of times later on in this podcast. Not this episode, but just throughout. As we mark the 30th anniversary, we will be launching various projects that go beyond the world of the game over the next years to express our gratitude to everyone who has played Chrono Trigger so far. The latest information will be posted on Square Enix official Twitter and on Chrono Trigger PR, so please look forward to it. I don't think they've had any updates since then, but I think it would be great if they got an HD 2D remake. Those are kind of the rage for a while now with Square. They've been doing that with some games. I'd love to see an anime in the style of the Akira Toriyama's artwork. Akira Toriyama passed away fairly recently, but it'd be cool if they did something similar to that. That'd be kind of neat to look into. So, we'll look forward to seeing what they do, and when they come out with more news, we will be talking about it. So next up, we're going to be talking about Split Fiction. So Split Fiction is a co-op only game. This is the latest co-op by Josef Fares. I think I said his name correct. Josef Fares, Josef, and then the last name is Fares, Fares. If you don't know him at all, if you've done any kind of watching of the Game Awards hosted by Jeff Keighley once a year, you've seen him on there. He's the one that said F the Oscars and flicked off the camera and all that sort of stuff. He's a very lively individual. Joseph has directed for, published by EA, but he's directed, I think 4 games now, including Split Fiction. He's done A Tale of Two Sons, A Way Out, It Takes Two, and now Split Fiction. All these games are co-op. I think A Tale of Two Sons is technically single player and co-op. I'm not sure about A Way Out or It Takes Two. I do know that Split Fiction is strictly co-op. But they're all well-reviewed games, and just like so many other franchises or games that are out there, there's a ton of games that I love, and I just never play them. Or love the trailer, I love the concept of it, or even just appreciate that these games are well-received. Like, have you ever not seen a movie, but you just kind of recognize, hey, this movie is well-regarded, I respect that. Or even like a music artist that, you may not listen to all the time, but you just understand, hey, this is some good stuff. This is really popular. People love this. I don't have anything against it. I've just never really gone into it. Kind of one of those things. That's me with this Joseph Fares titles. I've always enjoyed the idea that this guy is making co-op dedicated games. I love couch co-op. I don't do it anymore, obviously, in my 40s now. But even co-op stories. I mean, there was a time, it may still be going on, just not the games that I'm currently playing, but there was a time where co-op was just a part of the norm, even if the game wasn't designed around it. So, you'd be playing a game, I think Resistance, the first one, it was co-op, but they didn't split it up. It was still the main character. Both characters were the main character, I believe. Could be wrong on that. But basically, there were a lot of shooters that were like that, where you would play the campaign, and then a buddy could just hop in and help out. It didn't really affect the story or anything. It was just there to help out. But these games here by Joseph Fares are designed to be co-op. Again, they're all well-reviewed games. So I'm looking forward to it. I ended up pulling the trigger on it and ended up getting it. The cool thing about this game is that you can do either couch co-op or you can do a Friends Pass. I believe it's called Friends Pass, where someone else, whether they're on the same system or they're not, crossplay is enabled here, they download a free friend version of the game. And if I were to invite them, then they're able to play with me. Or I can also do it offline via couch co-op. Yeah, so Split Fiction, just real quick, is a story about, it's two authors, Mio Hudson and Zoe Foster. Apparently these two characters are based off of his own Joseph's own daughters. But they got imprisoned in their own stories, and they're connected to a machine that is designed to steal creative ideas. And then they just go throughout the game. Now, since I have played this now, I can tell you that that's how it starts. It's just, that's what it is. I mean, you're a character. You walk into a big, corporate building, and you're an author. You meet another author, and you two kind of, you're not really getting along. Not like you're mean to each other. They're mean to each other, but one's an introvert, one's an extrovert. So they're kind of clashing a little bit stylistically, and then they're hooked up to a machine that's supposed to get the ideas out of their brain, and then they publish that way, books that way. But one of the characters does not really, once she sees that, she's getting hooked up to some weird machine instead of just writing a book or doing some sort of like a workstation to help write the book, she kind of backs out of it, and then they kind of shove her into the machine, and that kind of makes everything mess up to where she's now able to get into other people's worlds, or so far just one other person's world. I don't know if they're going to be going into other people's yet. I'm not there yet. But basically she's into one other author's story. So she writes like sci-fi, the other author writes fantasy, and your levels are basically either sci-fi related or they're fantasy related, and then you just switch back and forth. And it's really straightforward. It starts off just like that, and you're right in the mix into the game, and they see like a rip in time and space or whatever, and it seems like that's just the way out. So that's kind of how the levels are designed, is that you just go in, you go through the level, and then you get to the space rip or whatever, and then you go through that, and then you're on to the next level, and just so on and so forth. Again, I'm not far into it. I was playing couch co-op with my 10-year-old, which was really, really fun to have her play it with me. I am down to play it with anyone else online, but yeah, so it's a lot of fun so far. I'm glad I'm playing it. Again, co-op based, so it's just really cool the way that that's all working out. Okay, and then just a quick little thing here about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I don't have a lot to share. Galaxy of Heroes, I'm in that weird spot where I'm just working on stuff, so there's not a whole lot of fun, new things to play with. I just finished that Bo-Katan farm a while back, so I'm back onto my Ahsoka, Ahsoka farm, so she's taken back over as my main farm, and I've picked up one that I've been debating for a long time, but I ended up picking up the Leviathan as my secondary farm. None of these I'm really going hardcore on. Even Ahsoka right now, I'm not spending any refreshes on the characters. I'm just doing, 5 simmed battles for character shards for Hu Yang and Sabine. And then I'm doing 5 battles for some ships for the Leviathan. And then I'm slowly bringing up gear-wise 3 more characters for Leviathan. The reason I'm not spending refreshes is that, 1, my crystal income is not that great. But 2, I'm just hoarding. I started doing this in the previous guild, and I'm doing it again now, where I'm taking my Cantina energy, and I'm hoarding all of my signal data up to, there's 3 signal datas, up to 200 each. So 200 pieces of signal data for each 3 of the signal datas. So I'm almost done with the 3rd one, and then once I'm done with that, then I'll probably start spending refreshes on characters, specifically the Ahsoka ones, and then the Leviathan ones I'll still do just regular battles. Conquest just recently started up, so I do need to buy 1 set of 5 character shards of Evil Ray, Dark Side Ray, and once I do that, I don't have to buy her anymore because I'll just be able to unlock her naturally on the next conquest. Not this one, but the next one. So I'll probably just end up doing that. That way I can save up some more gear or something for her. At least a relic mat, a signal data. I mean, for her. I'm not in a super rush. I would like to have her earlier. Maybe mathematically it works out that I can buy 20 and just get her done this conquest. I'll sit down and look at the numbers if I can, cool, but I'm not really pressed on doing it. I'm just more of a take my time mode right now in that game. So not a whole lot to cover there, but we can get into Destiny because there is actually a lot to talk about in Destiny. Destiny right now, again, we talked about in the past. I am a fan of Destiny for a long time, but like a bad relationship. Sometimes it gets bad and I leave, and then I come back because I miss the abuse a little bit. Right now it's good. Right now it's good. The story is good. It's Hive related. It's Eris Morn related. So it's just firing on all cylinders story-wise, at least to me. I love the Hive stuff. I love the Sword Logic stuff. I love Oryx and Witch Queen and Xivu Wrath. All that stuff's really cool. And then to have Eris Morn be some huge superpower going on is really, really cool. I won't talk spoilers, really, if you haven't played it, but there's just stuff going on with Eris, and she's kind of the center of what's going on right now. And then we're doing stuff to I guess prove to Oryx that we're worthy or whatever. We're trying to reforge his sword. So it's just really interesting. It's a good story so far. I look forward to I'm recording this on a Tuesday. I look forward to actually going home and seeing what kind of updates there are. I don't expect the sort of cutscene that we got last week, but last week's cutscene was great. So I'm looking forward to continuing that story. Other stuff that's going on in Destiny right now is Guardian Games, and then, of course, the regular Grandmasters. So Guardian Games right now, these events, even when I was playing Destiny before I quit, I had stopped doing the events a long time ago. You look forward to the Halloween ones, or at least I used to, and then even those I stopped doing them because, once you get the gear, the Halloween gear, it was kind of like pointless after that. But even then, I didn't log in to get some of the stuff for it. I didn't get all the dinosaur gear a long time ago. I didn't get the mech gear. I actually wasn't playing, I think, during the mech stuff. But if it's cool enough, I would have logged in, but I just never felt like it. Anyway, Guardian Games right now is not bad. It's just a boss rush mode, which normally you would just say, oh, it's more recycled stuff, but at the end of the day, some of Destiny's best content are their raids and their dungeons and boss fights, according, that are in there. So to face off on some of these nightmare hunt bosses, to face off on some of these storyline bosses, and you have to beat 5 of them, it's fun. It's a fun way to do it. Apparently they switch it up. My buddy was telling me they switch it up week to week. I thought it was just random, but it's not. It was proven while we were doing it. It's definitely the same thing over and over. But that's good because it gives you time to really hone in and practice and try and get the best that you can get done that week. So that's fun. I'm looking forward to doing some more of that. And then Grandmasters. So Grandmasters technically now last week. Grandmasters last week was a heist battleground, which I have probably said on previous episodes. I'm not a fan of heist battlegrounds being Grandmaster Nightfalls because they're not designed to be a strike. So it's just it feels kind of lazy to me. I get that they're reusing some stuff that's kind of neat, but I would have liked to have had more strikes being made and having them in the list. And then plus some of these strikes, we haven't done in a while, so it'd be nice to play some of those as well. But anyway, it's a harder one to do. There's definitely some cheese spots that you have to utilize, which kind of takes away the fun of trying to get it done legitimately. But, once we got it down, not that bad. If we would have done that earlier in the week, we probably could have farmed it a little bit more. But the weapon for last week was the Lotus Eater. If you follow Destiny at all on any kind of YouTube, you've probably seen a million videos of that by now about how that's the weapon to farm currently. Lotus Eater sidearm. It's a rocket launcher sidearm, right? So rockets get popped out, but this is a void one that has destabilizing rounds. Now, the other burns, Solar and Arc, have had incandescent for Solar, and then was it Volt Shot for Arc, and now we have destabilizing rounds for Void, and it got a buff recently. It was always kind of the weakest thing, but now it's a lot better now. So I ended up farming that again last night. My buddies and I got the Grandmaster done finally late at night. They both, I believe, got adept versions with the destabilizing rounds, but I did not. I got 2 adepts, but it didn't have that roll. So I ended up doing regular Nightfalls with some blueberries there, and got it done eventually where I got destabilizing rounds. So I'm excited to use that. I got to level that thing up so that the perks are enhanced or whatever. This week's Nightfall, I don't know what it is. I haven't looked it up yet. Just been busy at work. And then, and so, as I said earlier, I'm recording this on a Tuesday, so I have not gone to look to see what everything is. The Grandmasters, again, it's kind of the same story in a boring way, to say that, we started out on a Tuesday. We usually struggle for a little while, but then by the end of the week we get it done. I would like to see us get these done more in the middle of the week, so that way if we want to farm it we can. And then also because we basically have a group of 6 that we play with, but 5 are the ones that are normally around. So I'd like to see getting those other 2 through the Grandmasters instead of just the 3 of us, even though I think the 3 is that's good to have, but I would just like to get them through it as well, so they're not left out. But yeah, so we're going to continue to Grandmasters. It's funny too, because the whole being sick, I was going to have last week's episode be about how we kept messing up, and I was going to joke around and say, my opening title was going to say, Grandmasters, we still didn't get it done, find out whose fault that is on this episode, and then never really say anything. But no, I mean, it's been fine. Anyone that's doing Grandmasters is just all about communication with your team, taking it slow at points, not taking it slow at points. Like, for example, this last Grandmaster, what actually screwed us up in the beginning was that we were going too slow. You have to push a payload, and if you just leave the payload there, then these enemies are going to spawn in forever. But then the reverse of that screwed us up later on at the end, because the in-boss room, the ads do not continue to spawn in. There are actually a finite number of ads that come in, and then they stop depending on where, or they won't respawn until a certain health gate comes up on the boss. So you can time it out more. You can actually wipe out all the ads and then focus on the boss, and then more ads will come, focus on them, then go back to the boss. Whereas when we're pushing the payload, no, you need to focus on the payload and watch your back, basically. Keep your head on swivel, wipe out some ads, but continue to push forward. That's more of a close counter encounter. So we ended up learning that later on. We kind of cheesed it with a Titan, which I don't mind doing. It got it done. Again, this is on a Monday night, so I really don't care about using cheeses or anything else like that on a Monday night, because I just want to get it done. Would I prefer to get it done on my Warlock? Of course. And so hopefully we can do that going forward. But no big deal. Like I said, got it done. Fun to do. Even though it gets aggravating at times, it's always fun to do, and it feels good once you get it done. Yeah. So that's really it. I guess some other little tidbit things. I haven't really been watching any movies lately. I need to still watch The Brutalist. I need to see Nora. I've been fiending to watch Cowboy Bebop again. and I just keep forgetting to put that on. Not really forgetting to put it on, but when I get offline, so like when I sign off of PlayStation, when I sign off of gaming, I usually stay up for another hour or two. But it's just I usually am done with my gaming session, so now I just relax and calm down with like a movie or a show or YouTube and kind of not fall asleep to it where I fall asleep with it on, but just fall, once I get tired, then I turn it off, go to sleep, whatever. That backfired on me last night with the Nightfall because the YouTube recommendations were getting the God roll for that gun. So I was like, well, I gotta go back upstairs and get this gun. So, and again, I find that it was worth doing that because I would have regretted not having that and having to wait for it to come back around. I have like 3 rolls of that gun, and to finally get the stabilizing rounds on one, that's good for me. Anyway, yeah, so not really any movie updates. I did stop by a Goodwill a while ago, and I got a portable, from 1985, a portable TV radio, black and white TV radio, and for like $3. And so I'm gonna hook that up. I ordered some stuff. There's like an antenna thing for like $5 that I ordered, and a matching transformer for like $5 that I ordered to try and see if I can get like a VCR hooked up to it or a digital antenna hooked up to it. So that'll be cool. Maybe I'll post pictures of that. I am going to be posting some pictures of Destiny related stuff because of the whole episode Heresey, Eris Morn. I have the Eris Morn little mini statue in my room, so I'm going to whip that out and take some pictures to post about that. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for hopefully another episode this Friday. Again, I'm never going to promise it anymore. That's the plan. I hope to do it. We'll see how life unfolds with that. But it was good to get back on here and discuss. Thank you for anyone that was listening. Another thing that I actually wanted to add real quick, if anyone has, for my 2 listeners out there, if it expands, then I kind of just want to start it now. Any questions? I'll pick a question. Probably going to have to figure out where you're going to have to post this to do it. I don't know if you can post on where I host, which is Podbean. I don't think that you can post comments on Spotify or any of that, so it might have to be YouTube. I have no idea. But any kind of question that you would want answered on the next podcast, legitimate, like entertainment, whatever kind of question, life kind of question, whatever, as long as it's not a troll question, I'll answer it. So shoot me something, shoot me a comment, whatever it is. I'll pick one every episode, and I will read it. So yeah, so go ahead and do that if you feel like it. If not, all good. Thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for next week, episode 7. Hopefully I'll have some more Split Fiction. We'll talk a little bit more about any kind of progress that's been happening with Galaxy Heroes or Destiny, and hopefully I'll have some other kind of progress with any other game. Maybe Chrono Trigger, maybe Lord of the Rings, who knows. But yeah, thanks for watching. Happy gaming. Bye.